pleasure to talk to you about this film. Obviously, your character, based on real life events, is quite thought-provoking because he was a wonderful man. So tell us a little bit more about him.
Sure. Doug Hansen was from the Seattle, Washington area in the U.S. He had been a climber for many years. He had raised a couple of children as a single father. He was, by all accounts, a really wonderful man to be around. He was a really excellent team member. And that year in 1996, I think that he was thought of as a guy who'd make it by his teammates. He'd been the year before. He'd almost summited. They'd been turned around for weather, so he was ready to go. He was also, I think, unique to this expedition in the first year that they'd opened Everest up for commercial climbing. A lot of people, a lot of wealthy people who had $65,000 American to be able to go to Everest and climb. Well, that wasn't Doug. You know, he was a guy who was a postal worker and a carpenter, and as I said, a single father. Not a lot of money, but Rob Hall, who had led him almost to the top in 1995, had invited him back in 1996. I think, giving him a discount, so he was able to go. And that's where Doug starts. Yeah.
Were you able to meet real life people from his life, and how much were they an inspiration, if it was the case?
I wanted to. I was, I'll say, not encouraged to contact his family. I did speak to other climbers who knew him, and I read as much as I could about him. So, you know, there are things that happened near the top of the mountain on that day that we'll never know exactly what happened. And so I also, you know, didn't know Doug, and had to kind of rely on what the people who knew him had told me. So a lot of this film is really a guess as to what happened in certain instances, but no one will ever know what happened. And so I think most important to us was to try to do honor to the people we were portraying and those who survived them, and to try to find the spirit of the character and what truth we could find in our film.
Do you understand that passion for climbing, for always doing things completely outside of the realm of day-to-day life?
I do, I think. I mean, just choosing to be an actor is a pretty reckless decision in one's life. But I think for a lot of these people, it's less about having another trophy, so to speak, for the mantle, and more spiritual, if you will, a more soul defining reason to climb. I've heard climbers say that they don't climb because they can. Neil Beitelman, who was in the 1996 expedition with Mountain Madness, as I spoke to him and climbed with him, he told me that he didn't climb because the mountain is there. He climbed because he was physically able, because he could.
Yeah.
And for him to be able to experience that kind of incredibly rare beauty, he thought it would be a crime not to for him. So I think it's more about partly testing your body and your mind, and the idea of the reward that comes with that, and also I think the reward of what you're able to see and feel and experience in such a beautiful place.
Absolutely. Is it the kind of film where, you know, the way you shot it also informs the role, because the shooting conditions were quite harsh, weren't they?
Yes, certainly. And the producers were very wise to begin shooting in Nepal, and to begin in Kathmandu, where all expeditions to Everest on the Nepal side, they always begin in Kathmandu. We started there. We went into the Himalayas. We hiked. We were up at very high altitude. We slept in lodges each night and continued to hike. And one day we walked around a corner and we saw Everest. You could see it. It was thrilling. From there to Valsenalis in northern Italy, where they experienced the worst winter they'd had in 40 years. There was frostbite, and there was a lot of discomfort. There are no VIPs on the side of a mountain. There's no trailers being airlifted for the actors' comfort. So as a cast and crew, we were up there together trying to stay warm and get the movie made, and we did our best.